You don't feel sick, you don't feel broken, and nothing feels urgent. So you assume everything is fine, but the body doesn't always warn you loudly when something is wrong. It adjusts, compensates, and keeps going while slowly borrowing energy from the future, until one day what feels normal is no longer healthy, and the quiet signals you ignored become impossible to overlook. You wake up, stretch, and move through your morning as usual. Nothing aches, nothing burns, nothing demands your attention. And for that reason, you convince yourself everything is fine. You have energy, your mind works, your body carries you through the day, and life seems normal. Yet beneath this apparent normalcy, subtle shifts are taking place, adjustments your body makes silently, without fanfare. Every skipped moment of rest, every long stretch of sitting, every meal that feeds convenience rather than nutrition, every tiny stressor that doesn't feel urgent, your body notices. It doesn't send a loud alarm, it whispers. And because those whispers are quiet, they often go unheard. Fatigue creeps in, not as a single wave but as a slow, almost imperceptible drain. Concentration falters in small ways that you dismiss. A brain fog that you blame on a busy schedule. A yawn you attribute to late nights or too much caffeine. What feels ordinary is often the body's way of coping, of maintaining balance under strain. Your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your nervous system. They are all quietly working harder to keep life moving as you demand more from them than they are designed to handle without support. They borrow energy from tomorrow to fuel today, and they postpone recovery until later. Often later that never seems to come. Systems designed for bursts of stress now run continuously, silently under pressure, compensating for your choices and the relentless rhythm of modern life. You notice nothing. You feel fine. And because you feel fine, you continue the pattern. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. The body adapts, but adaptation comes at a cost that is rarely visible. It becomes the invisible strain of life, a quiet erosion masked as normalcy. Your posture slouches without notice, energy dips earlier than it once did. Sleep is lighter, recovery is slower. Yet all of this is subtle enough to feel unimportant, harmless even. The truth is that the body rarely fails dramatically out of nowhere. It communicates first through small signals, whispers that tell you something needs attention before anything breaks. But in a world that rewards movement over stillness, output over pause, stimulation over silence, those signals are often drowned out. You keep moving, keep working, keep scrolling, keep pushing, unaware that your baseline is slowly shifting. Feeling fine becomes the measure of wellness, but it is not a guarantee of health. There is a difference between surviving and thriving, and the gap between the two widens quietly, day by day, moment by moment, while the world expects you to keep functioning at the same pace. Your body carries on without complaint, but it is not without consequence, and the consequences often appear only when they can no longer be ignored. The human body is astonishingly patient. It endures far more than we often realize, adjusting to patterns of life that were never meant to be permanent. Short nights of sleep, long hours of sitting, constant exposure to screens, processed meals eaten on the go, and the relentless presence of stress. All of these are challenges that the body silently navigates. It doesn't complain in the moment. It doesn't collapse under the first wave of pressure. Instead, it finds ways to maintain function, to keep the rhythm of life moving while quietly shouldering burdens that grow heavier with each passing day. Systems designed for rest are kept active. Signals meant to prompt attention are softened, and energy reserves are borrowed from a future that is never fully reclaimed. The body adapts, often in ways that are invisible, keeping performance at a level that feels normal even when internal strain is mounting. Fatigue is subtle at first, barely noticeable, easily attributed to busyness or the stress of modern schedules. Mental fog creeps in gradually, minor lapses in focus or motivation brushed aside as ordinary distractions. Muscle tension builds slowly, and the sensations of heaviness or stiffness are normalized because they do not scream for attention. Even as the body works harder than it was designed to, life continues without interruption, giving the illusion that everything is fine. Yet this patience is not infinite. The body is constantly communicating, though its messages are often quiet. It signals through lighter sleep, slower recovery, earlier dips in energy, and subtle declines in mental clarity. These are not emergencies, but persistent whispers, reminders that adaptation has limits and that prolonged strain comes at a cost. Modern life makes listening difficult. We are rewarded for productivity, encouraged to fill every pause with stimulation, and taught to treat stillness as unproductive. Moments of rest are postponed in favor of obligations, screens, or social distractions. Even when the body asks for what it needs, slower movement, deeper sleep, genuine nourishment, or mental quiet, those requests are often met with caffeine, scrolling, or overcommitment. The nervous system remains engaged, recovery delayed, energy drained without replenishment. And yet, because these processes unfold gradually and subtly, it is easy to overlook the strain, to accept mild discomfort or diminished energy as simply part of life. The patience of the body is remarkable, but it is not permanent. Systems are being asked to perform under conditions they were never designed to endure indefinitely. Adaptation continues quietly, allowing survival, but the cost accumulates unseen. The body does not fail dramatically out of nowhere. It signals, adapts, and adjusts, giving every chance for support before crisis. Ignoring these subtle cues may feel harmless now, but the strain is real, the energy borrowed, the system overstretched, and the foundation of health quietly shifting. Health doesn't disappear overnight. It fades quietly when support is missing, when consistency is absent, and when awareness of the body's needs is overlooked. Feeling fine is not proof that everything is functioning optimally. It is simply the body's way of coping, of maintaining balance despite gaps in care. True health is built in the small, repeated actions that allow the body to function efficiently, recover fully, and signal less urgently, because it does not have to struggle in the background. Sleep that restores, rather than simply exists, is one of the most powerful forms of support. When the body receives deep, uninterrupted rest, it repairs tissues, balances hormones, consolidates memory, and replenishes energy. Movement matters too, but not for the sake of punishment or performance alone. Gentle stretches, consistent activity, and exercises that remind muscles, joints, and connective tissues of their intended function keep the body agile, resilient, and less prone to chronic strain. Even more subtle are moments of stillness and calm. Minutes, hours, or quiet rituals that allow the nervous system to reset. In a world that rewards constant stimulation, these moments are revolutionary. They give the body space to process, to recover, and to recalibrate, reducing the silent tension carried through each day. Awareness plays a role that is just as important. Observing how you feel over weeks, months, and seasons, rather than only noticing how you feel today, allows you to detect patterns before they become problems. Small signals, like earlier dips in energy, lingering fatigue, mental fog, or minor aches, are messages that the body sends consistently. Ignoring them delays intervention, while responding to them gently with support allows the system to stabilize. Support does not mean perfection. It is not about never missing a workout, never eating a dessert, or achieving a flawless sleep schedule. It is about building patterns that reinforce health over time, providing the body with what it needs on a consistent basis, so that it no longer has to adapt silently, borrow energy, or postpone recovery. When the body receives support regularly, it functions with efficiency, clarity, and ease. Signals become subtle because the systems are no longer strained. Energy is not constantly borrowed from tomorrow, and the nervous system is not perpetually engaged. Feeling fine then transforms into feeling genuinely supported, and survival shifts toward thriving. The earlier these small signals are noticed and responded to with care rather than pressure, the easier it is to change direction, to restore balance before fatigue, illness, or strain become unavoidable. The body is always communicating, quietly, patiently, and consistently. The question is whether you are listening now, noticing the subtle signs, and responding with regular support, or whether you are waiting for the whispers to grow into urgent demands before acting, giving up the chance to maintain health quietly, steadily, and powerfully. Modern life has a way of drowning out the quiet signals the body sends, filling every pause with noise, obligation, and distraction. Moments that should be restful are often interrupted by screens, notifications, and the constant pressure to produce, perform, and be visible. Silence becomes uncomfortable, stillness feels unproductive, and the nervous system rarely gets a chance to fully settle. Even when the body asks for what it needs, deep sleep, gentle movement, a pause from stress, the response is often caffeine, scrolling, or busyness, as if ignoring the request will make the problem disappear. This overstimulation keeps the body on edge, preventing true recovery while energy continues to drain. The heart rate may rise slightly, muscles stay tense longer than necessary, and the mind drifts but never fully rests. Over time, the nervous system adapts to being constantly engaged, making it harder to recognize what rest truly feels like or to allow the body to shift into its natural rhythm. Productivity is praised, output is rewarded, and rest is postponed or minimized. Even small periods of downtime are filled with distraction, as if being idle is failure, rather than an essential component of health. The body continues to function, but not at its peak, quietly compensating for the overstimulation while sending signals that are easily ignored. Fatigue is shrugged off, mental fog is explained away as busyness, and tension becomes normalized. Sleep may come, but it is shallow, frequently interrupted, or shorter than it needs to be. Recovery is partial, delayed, and never complete, leaving a subtle but persistent deficit in energy and resilience. This creates a cycle where the body's needs are consistently deprioritized in favor of external demands, reinforcing the idea that constant activity is normal. Yet the consequences of this overstimulation are real. Hormonal balance shifts, immune response slows, cognitive clarity diminishes, and stress accumulates quietly over months and years. The nervous system remains partially engaged even in moments meant for rest, keeping the body in a state of low-grade tension that feels familiar enough to ignore. Awareness of this process is rare because the sensations are subtle. A slight heaviness in the chest, shallow breathing, restless sleep, or an inability to feel fully relaxed even when the workday ends. These are the whispers of a body that is being asked to operate at full capacity without adequate support. A body that is trying to keep up while being deprived of the time and space it needs to reset. Overstimulation is insidious because it masquerades as normal life, convincing people that constant engagement is expected, necessary, and even virtuous. Yet without deliberate attention to stillness, deep rest, and consistent recovery, the body's efficiency erodes slowly, energy dips earlier, focus fades faster, and resilience diminishes. The signals are always there, patient and persistent, but modern life teaches us to ignore them, to keep moving, to keep producing, and to forget that real health requires listening, slowing down, and allowing the nervous system the space it needs to restore itself. Feeling fine is not the same as being truly supported. The body is always communicating, quietly signaling when systems are strained, energy is low, or recovery is incomplete. These signals are subtle at first, small dips in focus, lingering tension, slightly lighter sleep, a little more fatigue than usual, but they are consistent. Ignoring them allows the strain to accumulate, and what could have been corrected with gentle care gradually grows into something harder to manage. True support does not mean perfection. It is not about never skipping a meal, never missing a workout, or never facing stress. It is about consistency over time, about building small, reliable habits that reinforce health and allow the body to operate at its best. Sleep must be more than a quantity measured in hours. It must be restorative, providing the deep rest the nervous system and organs require to repair and reset. Movement must remind the body of how it is meant to function, strengthening muscles, joints, and connective tissue, maintaining flexibility and circulation, and supporting overall vitality. Moments of calm are just as essential, allowing the nervous system to downshift from the constant stimulation of modern life, reducing stress, and giving the body a chance to recover without interference. Nourishment, too, is part of support. The body thrives when it is fed real, nutrient-dense food consistently, not just in sporadic bursts or occasional indulgences. Hydration, mindful eating, and balanced nutrition provide the building blocks for energy, cognitive clarity, and long-term resilience. Awareness is the final component. Noticing how the body feels most days, not only how it feels today, creates a baseline. It allows you to recognize patterns, to see the whispers of fatigue, tension, or imbalance before they escalate into louder, harder to ignore signals. The earlier you respond to these gentle messages, the easier it is to correct course, to give the body what it needs, and to maintain a sense of vitality that goes beyond simply feeling fine. Waiting until the signals become loud often requires harder adjustments, longer recovery, and sometimes dealing with consequences that could have been prevented with consistent support. The body is remarkably resilient, but resilience is strongest when it is nurtured rather than tested. Constantly providing regular support allows systems to function efficiently, recover quickly, and reduce the need for constant warning signals. Energy is sustained, focus is sharper, and the nervous system is balanced. The difference between surviving and thriving is built on these small, consistent practices, repeated daily and valued over time. Feeling fine may give the illusion of health, but it is the care, support, and attention we give to ourselves that transforms that illusion into reality. The earlier you start listening, acting, and supporting your body, the more powerful the change, and the easier it is to maintain vitality, clarity, and resilience as life moves forward. Every moment of care compounds, every consistent choice matters, and every whisper your body sends is an opportunity to strengthen your health rather than wait for it to demand your attention. Your body is always communicating. The question is whether you will listen today and give it the support it deserves before it is forced to speak louder. Take the time, make the effort, and commit to yourself now, because there is no better investment than your own health and well-being.